Pete Weber, who with a win today would become the youngest player in PBA history to win 10 titles. In fourth place, the only lefty in today's finals, the 1985 Player of the Year, Mike Aulby. Mark Roth was inducted into the Bowling Hall of Fame earlier this week, but has not won this tournament despite winning 32 others in 17 seasons. Art Trask has not been in the winner's circle since 1983, but has been on the top of his game this week and qualified in second place. Jim Murtishaw won his place in the Firestone field with his first PBA title in February and qualified for the top spot with a 227 average this week. That's our field of champions for the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the hosts of ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour telecast, Chris Schenkel and Nelson Burton, Jr.
Thank you, Harry Golden, Tournament Director, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Nelson Burton, Jr. and I are delighted to be here for the 23rd Firestone. This is that tournament that's so demanding mentally and physically, all champions in the field. This is our crown jewel, and it caps our 25th anniversary year, 26 years in total, and we expect great action this afternoon. Bo, in the first match, two names synonymous with bowling itself, Weber and Aulby.
Well, Chris, the five-man field, obviously all champions, as 52 started here. Aulby and Weber in their five-man field. They in the first match, they go against Roth. Three big names in bowling, but obviously there's other men in the field. Jim Murtishaw just lapped the field. He's got to be very tough. I feel the man to beat is probably the least likely to win by the press, and that's Art Trask. Look at his record. He's won 4 PBA titles. He has beaten Earl Anthony, Weber, Roth, and Holman for those titles. He's afraid of no one. I think he's the key guy to watch. He's in the semifinal match. As far as the scoring goes, obviously sensational. 23 years we've had the Firestone. This is the second highest scoring PBA finals for the Firestone Tournament of Champions, so I expect a lot of big scores today.
Well, you're fired up. Get ready for that first match.
I'm excited and ready to go.
While Bo goes to his position, I'd like to remind you that we are the middle part of a great afternoon of sports on ABC. Immediately following Wide World, which features international gymnastics, the United States versus the USSR, the 60th running of the Kentucky Derby Trial, prelude to next Saturday's big event, and the Athlete of the Week award, plus a preview of the Derby itself. So we're ready now, a 24-year-old dynamo from Missouri, Pete Weber, going against a 27-year-old smoothie, a lefty from the good old state of Indiana, Mike Aulby. We're ready. Here they are.
All right, Mike Aulby, the higher finisher of the two players, has decided to let Pete Weber start the match. Pete, this is his 5th championship round of the 1987 season. No wins yet. He's pushing the $100,000 mark for winning so far in the year without a title. First shot.
And you heard the cheering of Pete. They'll be rooting for him. A capacity crowd here at the Riviera Lanes, where we have been 22 of the 23 years. It's a great 40-lane facility that has more than handled the 52 champions that started earlier in the week. Now, 1985 Bowler of the Year, Mike Aulby. So, Nelson, we're all even after one frame and just what we expected. Superb execution.
Well, Chris, the last 2 weeks, we saw it at the Atlantic City tournament. We saw it in Cleveland. We saw it at Hartford. A little slow start for the players, but not this week. As you look at the profile of Mike Aulby, just a classic delivery, good slide, good follow-through, a very confident player. Aulby, always one of the toughest players to beat in the championship round. He has been there twice so far this year. He lost, I believe, with a 258 game, his first out against George Branham III at the AC Delco Classic. So off to a quick start.
The man that's in his 3rd Firestone television finals, 2nd in 1984, and 5th last year. The left-handed pocket from our camera lefty.
The first ever on the championship round of professional bowling, a left-handed camera, so to speak, from him in the left side. Great shot. Now Weber, strike working in the first frame, needs a strike to even the match.
And there is the man that finished third in 1985, the year his opponent today, Aulby, was bowler of the year, and Pete was second to him. Another replay.
The profile of Pete Weber is becoming synonymous with his father's great profile. A little higher backswing, the open hand, the lock third step. And he drives right through with that pivot step. Watch this fourth step as part of the bowling tip of the week as he drives through, gets the good wrist action, delivers it. A strike that evens the match. And Chris, you talked about 1985. Remember Pete Weber having trouble with a cameraman in 1985? Once again, after 2 shots, he's pointed over to the area where the camera people apparently may have moved during his shot.
And he left a 10-pin on the left lane. Remember, he's only 24, be 25 in August. 9 titles. Look at the intensity.
A solid 10, and may I add, as he goes across lane, those are not American Broadcasting Company cameras. Those are photographers.
Okay, so we have a 1-pin difference with this man, Mike Aulby, leading with a double up. Now can increase his lead to 11. He's shooting in the third frame of this first game. The winner to meet fantastic Mark Roth, then Art Trask, and then our tournament leader, Jim Murtishaw. The 5 bowlers going for $123,000 live. And now the left-hand side, the 7-pin on the right lane for Aulby.
Mike Aulby, as he leaves the 7-pin, is a shot to watch. Now, action of the 4-pin right here is it just goes right around the 7. It wasn't quite a solid hit. He didn't quite get the action he wants, and one of the troubles that Aulby had in his early career was the inability to make the 7-pin, and now he has developed what we call a kill shot or dropped wrist shot, which has definitely increased his chances of making that pin. So he needs this spare to even the match. Nice.
All right, Mike Aulby was one of the 6 lefties in the field of 52. 4 made the final 24. And they include Earl Anthony, 30th, Hugh Miller, 20th, John Gant, 17th, and this man's brother-in-law, Steve Cook, who finished 8th. Cook, the 1981 Firestone winner. Little work here.
Little tape in the thumb hole. He's using white adhesive tape. The bowlers have the option of using either white adhesive tape or black electrical tape. Usually they use the white adhesive in the front where the front part of their thumb touches the ball, and the smoother electrical tape in the back part of the hole to get out of it cleanly, even though the hole's tight. Okay, 4th frame match, all even.
And now it's a 10-pin on the left lane for the southpaw. What a controlled young man. A lot of class.
Here's that left-handed camera, as you like to call it. Head pin goes to the left side of the right side board and does not quite knock out the 10-pin. As I said, the left side, we have never positioned a camera left of the players. Today, for Mike Aulby's shot, we have one obviously over in the lane 26 area.
Okay, that's the spare in the 4th frame for Mike Aulby. The 1 pin separating these 2 greats.
Some things you just gotta do right the first time. At Firestone, we believe that fixing your car is something we've got to do right the first time. Our Master Care mechanics use some of the most advanced training and technology in the business. So Firestone tune-ups are right the first time. Firestone brake jobs are right the first time. Firestone wheel alignments are right the first time. And our warranty backs our service. Firestone, right the first time.
Heaven on earth.
Don't get him started about his car.
Hey, Pete, toss me the Quaker Steak. This new Quaker Steak with QSX is a miracle. It gives car-carrying people superior engine protection. Look at the sludge conventional motor oils leave behind. New Quaker Steak with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer. And that means I might spend the rest of my life in heaven.
Warn you.
Your Quaker Steak hero, reaching for the best.
A winning garden is like a winning season. To have one, each member of the team has to do his job. This is the Hyponex team, the best there is, including the newest member of the team, Hyponex Lawn Fertilizer. It's specially formulated with selected nutrients to give your lawn that plush, green, healthy look. New Hyponex Lawn Fertilizer. It gives your lawn that home field advantage.
In conjunction with this year's Firestone Tournament of Champions, sweepstakes winners are here today. They're paired down to the final 5, and each drew a number this morning, and it'll go along with one of the 5, and the one that wins, that picked the winner, will get $25,000. Hoo boy.
And the man in the middle of that pack with the golden tan was the genius who invented that, the brilliant Jerry Kerr from Firestone. Now, here's Weber, match all even.
Oh, he liked that. He pointed to all 10s. Loved every one of them. Cleanly washed pins. We asked Weber about his physical problems. Here's what he said.
Well, it started on Easter Sunday. I was playing wiffle ball with my brother-in-law and some friends, and I did a little too much running, and I pulled a muscle in my left leg, which is my sliding leg, and it prevented me from going into the shot. But it actually helped me because it's making me stay more up and down, which is beneficial to my game.
And what he means by up and down, Chris, is he gets the ball a little bit farther out over the lane. He's more upright at the point of delivery. Just like that.
Oh, that 10-pin, oh, it didn't look like it got off the deck.
Well, Chris, the ball came in light, and Weber drives that head pin with that tremendous power of his over to the left sideboard. Watch the head pin. It goes to the left sideboard, comes back across. Here it comes. They call it the messenger on the Pro Bowlers Tour. Wipes out the 10-pin and allows Peter to have an 11-pin lead through 5 frames.
Spare up for Aulby. Oh, looked like an absolutely perfect hit, but he left the 7.
Once again, Chris, he has, as you said, kept the ball right around the pocket. He struck in the first 2 frames on extremely light hits. Then he left the 7-pin in the 3rd frame, a wall shot 10-pin in the 4th frame, and once again he leaves the 7-pin here in the 5th frame. So he's been around the pocket. The match is still up for grabs. With this conversion, he would trail by 12.
Good consistency by Mike Aulby, and the winner today will get $50,000. Second, 28, 20 for third, 15,000 for fourth, 10,000 to the man that loses this first match that you're watching right now as we reach the halfway point. Aulby and Weber. The winner to meet Mark Roth, who has never won a Firestone Tournament of Champions, nor have these two.
And the lefty cam, you can see it just over Aulby's left shoulder. If you look behind, it's somewhat camouflaged by a drape, and there is the shot we see. Excellent shot. This is on the left-hand lane, lane 27.
Well, for all you lefties out there, execute like that, and you'll come up with strikes. For Mike Aulby, that is his 3rd strike of the match. Now with the double up, Pete Weber shooting in the 6th frame. Dee Weber. Three-bagger.
2 powerful players out there. As you see, the footwork of Pete Weber uses the full approach, 17 feet, 5-step delivery, methodical, waits for the shot right here in the 3rd step, lets his timing come back, the big high backswing. Then you see that tremendous wrist action as he rotates his hand around and through the ball, and obviously the pins have no chance. Weber, 22-pin lead through 6 frames, 3 strikes in a row working, can extend that lead to 32 with an additional strike here in the 7th.
And what was a key shot? It's a high hit, leaving the 3-6-10.
Chris, you picked it out. A key shot. He could have put a lot of pressure on Mike Aulby with this shot. He sends the ball a little bit wide on this particular shot, and I noticed Mark Roth, who will be coming up in the next match, throw one of these shots in practice, sent it real wide, and left a high hit. Cross lane.
A little apprehensive at the line, but he got them all to mark with a spare in the 7th and leads by 19. We'll be back.
Look at my
thought it was 9:31, so I called my daddy, said, let's have some fun, and we rode.
Right now, it's rocket rebate time at your Honda motorcycle dealer, and that means it's time to roll up big savings. You can save $100 to $1,000 on selected models. Apply these savings to your down payment or get cash back from Honda. The choice is yours, but hurry. Honda's rocket rebate is good for a limited time only.
Rolling from the break of dawn.
Dad, send the money by noon, or you won't be coming to my graduation in June.
Send the money today, or your father and I couldn't be washed away. Darling, I've run into a little trouble. Could you send $150 on the double?
To send someone money fast, come to Western Union. We'll make sure it gets to any of our 9,000 locations, usually in 15 minutes or less.
That's okay. I'll get the door.
Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
We're back again at the Riviera Lanes in Akron, Ohio, 23rd Firestone Tournament of Champions, culminating 26 years. ABC and the PBA bringing you these live telecasts 16 weeks in a row, trailing by 19 with a strike-up, big seventh frame shot. Plagued again by the 7.
Aulby has to wonder, what did I do wrong? Obviously nothing except knock all 10 pins down. We saw a soft 7 earlier. Now you'll see the solid 7 as the 4-pin just accelerates and flies around the top of the 7. Not much Aulby can do about that. You just got to keep going to the well, the 1-2 pocket. Hopefully whoever will slow down and give him a chance in the later frames. Aulby for his 3rd conversion of the 7-pin, 7th frame.
This is the 16th event, and so many representatives of all of bowling come here, like Joe Dahl, the president of the American Bowling Congress from Portland, Oregon, Sonny France, president of the Bowling Proprietors Association. Just all the representatives are here, Nelson, to end the winter tour.
And many of the sponsors of professional bowling, as it's been a gala week. But now we're down to the real action. Aulby trails by 19 pins, 8th frame, spare working.
And that single pin again.
Well, Mike Aulby, no other players over on the left side today, so he kind of knew what to expect before we started the championship round. He told me, he says, Bo, I have a pretty good line. I believe if I make good shots, I can hit the pocket every single time. Obviously, he's done that so far, but nothing really has gone right for him. He has a potential 206 pace or 206 game with spare strike spare so far through 8 frames, so it's still up for grabs.
There's Tammy Aulby, Mike's lovely wife. He and Steve Cook married sisters. With a careful preparation. Though on that shot, noticeably, not the big high arc. He cut it down a little.
You're right, Chris. Just a perfect shot as you see the ball drive through the 1, 3, 5, and 9 pins. His best shot of the match so far. Look at his eyes stay down on the target, the good concentration. He says, oh, baby, just break them. And the pins had no chance. Weber really has the match well in hand right now if he can strike here in the 9th. He's going at a 226 pace, Aulby a potential 226, but it's getting late for Aulby. 9th frame.
Oh, he walked that one out. And then with a one-arm pump and a leg kick, pressure. Watch this reaction.
The difference in the match so far has been the power of Pete Weber, the ability to get that extra revolution on the ball right at the pocket zone and carry all 10 pins. Aulby has just been about perfect around the pocket, but nothing good has happened. He needs strikes right now.
And again, a 7-pin.
Let's look at Aulby's game. Strike, strike to start, solid 7, 10-pin on a light hit but in the pocket, another soft 7, strike, 7-pin in the 7th frame, 7-pin in the 8th frame, and once again plagued, as you said, Chris, by a 7-pin here in the 9th frame. It's not over, but Aulby has his back to the wall.
A man with 13 championships in the 9 years that he has been on the PBA Tour. Record setter of over $201,000, eclipsing Earl Anthony's record of $164,000. Mike did it in '85.
Aulby in a must situation, has to throw a couple of strikes here in the 10th and 11th frames to have any reasonable chance of winning the match.
Well,
Aulby, the best he can do is 215. Obviously, he's bowled such an excellent game. It could have actually been 10 strikes in a row up to this point. It's not over, but right now, Aulby a potential 215. Weber going at a 236 pace. Only disaster on Weber's part could save Mike Aulby right now. That's a lock city, Chris.
Yes.
Aulby cannot win no matter what Weber does. If Weber would throw 2 balls in the channel almost, he would win. Weber would have at least a 200 game no matter what happens. 6, 7 pins for Aulby in this match. He has to be disappointed.
It's been a tough year for the lefties on the PBA Tour.
Especially in the championship round. That's where the big difference has been.
Mike Aulby, many-time champion, shoots a 205. 6 sevens. That tells the story. Now with the double up, Weber. All right. Pete Weber will advance against Mark Roth. What a confrontation for Mike Aulby, a disappointment, a $10,000 check. Weber and Roth next live from Riviera Lanes. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by Firestone, where car service is done right the first time. By Miller Lite, for great taste. There's only one light beer. And by True Value Hardware Stores. True Value, more than just a name. It's their way of doing business. The Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message and a word from our local station.
Good times never lasted longer.
Eating on the runs got you tied in knots. Send the bubbles of Alka-Seltzer to the rescue, because speed is what you need to loosen the grip of your acid indigestion with a headache fast.
Alka-Seltzer to the rescue.
Save the clam.
What's with Wiley?
It's the Monroe Save the Clam sale. Buy Monroe shocks and struts now and save a pile of clams.
Great! More clams for the clam bake.
Clam bake?
Nice going.
See your Monroe ride expert today?
Sunday.
Like a gang to him.
Lauren Hutton and Richard Gere in American Gigolo. Parental discretion advised.
Boy, are we excited. We're introducing the all-new Volkswagen Fox. You got to see this baby to believe it. Oh, and that's not all. Until April 30th, you can get factory air conditioning at no extra charge on select Golfs and Jettas. Ooh. And take advantage of factory incentives on all other hot Volkswagen models, but only until April 30th. So see your dealer soon, okay? Oh, this is great. I am excited. Air conditioning factory. This really is a good deal.
Air conditioning offer ends April 30th, so hurry into your Central Pennsylvania Volkswagen dealer.
I can't talk about it. I gotta do something about it.
A phantom army is fighting a secret war.
How can they be officially dead and 2 of them locked up in there?
but they've taken on the wrong lawman.
You gonna take on all them Uzis by yourself there, sir? How much help do you think I need?
Right on his own home ground.
Here we are, space age high tech, and we get caught by some Stone Age cowboy.
Nick Nolte is Jack Bentine. Extreme Prejudice, rated R.
Now playing at a theater near you.
TV 27 Harrisburg with translators at the following locations.
Our first match has ended. Pete Weber covering the 10 on the last ball, leading the 2-4-5-8, shooting a 2:31, 7 strikes to Mike Aulby's 2:05. 10 grand for Aulby. Now, the grand bowler, Mark Roth, 32 titles, going for his first Firestone. Let's learn more about him up close and personal. An interesting guy from Brooklyn.
I've been bowling for 25 years, and it just comes so natural to me. I live on the Jersey Shore in central New Jersey with my wife, Jackie, and my daughter, Stephanie, in a big standing pool named Greensboro. Steffi's 4 years old. She is quite an athlete. She loves to ice skate, and she's skated in competition twice, and both times she's won. Well, I met Jackie in 1977, 78. She bowled in Primus before I did. Started dating in 1979. We got married. One of my big hobbies is I have model railroad trains, and I have 3 different gauges, HO, Lionel, and LGB. And my Lionel, my engine, and my tender are 32 years old, so I've kept them in pretty good shape. I'd say my greatest memory is 1975 bowling the King Louis Open, going for my first title and also going for my first 300 game. Had the first 11, and 12th ball came a little high and left the 4-pin, and it's 12 years ago, and I still have the pin with me. My little 4-pin that cost me $10,000 in a Cougar at the time. But now it's worth a lot more money, but I was still proud of that day.
And, of course, we're proud of Mark Roth. 32 titles. Can you imagine that? But never a Firestone. He was third in 1983. Got into the PBA Hall of Fame just this week, where he deserves to be. And here's a future Hall of Famer, Bo, if there ever was one, Pete Weber.
Two of the greatest bowlers on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Obviously, Pete in the Genesis years of his career, although he's been out here for 6 years, only 24, going against the great veteran Roth.
That to go along with his 7 strikes and his victory. His 35th television appearance. Mark Roth in his 95th television appearance. 4th time in the Firestone TV finals.
I've never seen Mark Roth so psyched for a tournament. This is the one he wants to win more than anything, Chris. I think he can feel that the better years of his career are behind him. He's still a top star, and he wants this one right now.
And the gleaming bowling ball, not quite into the pocket, leaving the 7-pin. A profile replay of Mark Roth's shot.
Very similar to to Pete Weber. He has the high backswing. He's cut it down a little bit in the last few years. It used to be way above his head. Now only shoulder high, the open hand, and obviously that tremendous wrist action, the first player to really initiate that type of action on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
So the bowler of the year 4 times, high average 5 times. He's marked with a spare in the first frame. 35 years old.
Mark Roth, 2 years ago, the critics, after he had gone a few tournaments without cashing, said he was over the hill. Roth answered with his first major win, a win at the U.S. Open. They don't say that much to him anymore. This is one of the greatest natural talents ever to step on a bowling lanes. Roth, second frame.
Again, a light hit, and this time leaving the 2 sleeper 8 on the left lane.
Mark Roth trying to play right around the second arrow. Watch as he loses the ball at the bottom of his swing, something you don't see happen to Roth very often. He's up quickly the line. He loses the ball off the hand right over the second arrow and doesn't get enough spin and hook to bring the ball back for a very, very difficult 2-8 conversion.
Okay, 2 spares for Mark Roth, who finished in the number 3 spot out of a field of 52. Here is Pete Weber, who finished 5th, but he's here now against Roth with his 231 to 205 win over Mike Aulby.
A little side story, you see that glove that Pete Weber has on, he likes it, he says it helps his lift. He gave one to Mark Roth's daughter, Stephanie, to help her with her bowling when she was just 2 years old.
And that one just slid right on through, leaving the 1-2-8.
You know, people say there is no defense in the sport of bowling, but there's some psychology. When you have two heavyweights going against each other, there's a mutual respect as you see Pete Weber's ball just sliding by. Obviously, his worst shot of the day leads the 1-2-8. And when you bowl against a Roth or a Weber or an Anthony or a Holman, they're not quite as loose as you'd normally be, and it has an effect on everybody's game.
Strike and a spare for Pete Weber. His dad, Dick, and his mother, Juanita, are back in Missouri watching. His dad, Dick, did compete in his 21st Firestone, finished 49th. And in the very first two Firestones, his dad, Dick, finished second behind Billy Hardwick, and in 1966, Wayne Zahn. So he's trying to get this one for the Weber family. Almost another 2-8, leaving only the 2.
Pete Weber a little bit disturbed by somebody dropping something in the stands as you see the ball sliding by, very similar to what happened to Mark Roth. Pete gets a little better break, knocking out the 8-pin from behind, a simple spare.
That'll be something to watch because this is his 5th TV appearance this year. Gives a long, hard look to someone in the audience. And in his previous 4, though, he was easily upset, and it affected his game. So we'll watch. Here's Mark Roth now with a spare up in the 3rd. Jumping on it. Pete McCordick with his perfect game this year, which made our year. Del Ballard with the U.S. Open 100 grand, and Pete Weber worked hard to get 99,000. 55 was which second in the U.S. Open. And in the rest of the field,
this is the position they came in. Murtishaw 30th, Aulby 31st, Roth 34th, and Trask struggling this year, but he's in 2nd place. Interestingly enough, Chris, the 1 and 3 money winners did not even win a title this year.
4-7 for Roth.
Speaking with the players before the championship round, I asked Mark which lane hooked a little bit more. He said the left lane, a half aboard, and it showed up right there. The difference between a solid strike and a fast, what we call 4-7 spare, is the 2-pin just accelerating around the 4-pin. Roth that time not adjusting that, just a half aboard. Sometimes the difference between a strike and an easy spare. He will maintain a 1-pin lead as we go into the last 6 frames of the 2nd game.
We'll be back.
I got a feeling for my hometown.
When it's time to sell your home, you want action.
And that's what you get with the Century 21 Action Warranty.
My personal promise of service, in writing.
No one else offers the Century 21 Action Warranty. But then, nobody sells more homes than Century 21.
For complete details, call a participating office.
And put the Action Warranty to work for you. Century 21, the hometown advantage.
Some things you just gotta do right the first time. At Firestone, we believe that fixing your car is something we've got to do right the first time. Our Master Care mechanics use some of the most advanced training and technology in the business. So Firestone tune-ups are right the first time. Firestone brake jobs are right the first time. Firestone wheel alignments are right the first time. And our warranty backs our service. Firestone, right the first time.
The U.S. takes on the USSR in women's gymnastics live, plus the final Derby prep race, the Kentucky Derby Trial, on ABC's Wide World of Sports, next.
Pete Weber, leading by 1. He won his first match against Mike Aulby, 231-205. Now it's another story, going against Mark Roth. Here's Pete. Right lane, 4th frame, spare, working. Okay. After being upset by something that happened in the crowd, This man watching, president of the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, Sonny France. Been in the business a long time, Bo, like you and your dad.
Very much so, and I bowled, I'll date myself a little bit, with Sonny's dad, Lou France, on my first American Bowling Congress championship team, 1965. Lou France, and what a great bowling family. Now, Pete Weber leads by 1, strike working in the 4th frame, can extend that lead to 11 with another strike, and obviously his senses are very sensitive today as he heard someone drop a pencil once again in the crowd. Very smart, resetting himself, gathers concentration, a lot of money at stake.
Well, it's a 9-pin this time. First of the day.
Well, a player's a little bit confused when he throws a good ball like this. He looks like a strike, then all of a sudden it looks like a split, the 4-9, then the 2-pin does its job, knocks out the 4-pin, and obviously Pete Weber's reaction has been, I have an easy spare.
Winner of this, our second game, will go against Fresno, California's Art Trask. And then the winner of that semifinal pivotal match will go against Jim Murtishaw, the tournament leader. Little body English at the line didn't help knocking down this 7.
Watch the action of Roth's ball as it drives through the 1-3. Then the 5-pin is the key pin. Watch what happens to it, and the reason the 7-pin does not carry. Now the ball hits the 1-3. Now the 5 should go over and do its job. Roth had so much action on the head pin, it took out the 5. A little clipping from behind, and he left himself an easy spare, but he thought he had a strike.
All right, earlier we asked Mark Roth how did he prepare for this week, and what does it mean to him?
I took last week off, and I worked with my partner, Bob Simonelli, for about 3 days straight, and had a little problem with my approach, and we straightened that out, and being inducted to the Hall of Fame this week, and plus winning, would make this the greatest thrill of my career.
That says a lot. Two, 4, 5 for Roth on the left lane.
Roth making an adjustment for the high hit on the left-hand lane, moves his feet over a couple of boards instead of just a half a board or a board, and it's that close sometimes. Leaves a 2-4-5. Watch his technique at shooting this spare. He is the best. A cross lane, kills the ball, a lot of speed.
I saw a graphic there where Mark was the second to earn $1 million on the tour, and there you see Jackie and Stephanie, the skater. Is that another Peggy Fleming or JoJo Starbuck? We hope so. 2 for 2, not bad in competition, Bo.
I think you're right, Chris. I think she saw herself on television, a very astute and acute young lady. Now, Pete Weber leads this match by 5 pins, 6 frames, spare up.
Well, there it is, the 7 again.
Pin action very similar to what we saw from Mark Roth as Pete Weber quickly steps up on the approach. The ball drives through, knocks the 5-pin over. See the head pin over, come over and interfere with the 5-pin. Pete with a second ball, a spear ball, easy conversion.
Okay, Pete Weber, 5th TV appearance. He was second twice. He was 3rd in Kansas City, 2nd in Tacoma, and at Joe Kelly's Showboat in Las Vegas.
Pete, who still bowls on a league team in the St. Louis area with his brothers John and Dick Weber Jr. and his daddy. Quite a formidable team in the what they call the Masters League in St. Louis. Bowled his first perfect game at the age of 12. Has 27 others to his credit. A total of 28. The record 29.
He liked that. 7th frame, and he leads by 4 as he competes against Mark Roth. More later.
Before any race, Rick Mears has a lot on his mind. His car, his competition, but not his motor oil, because he uses Pennzoil. In all his years of racing with Pennzoil, he's never had an oil-related breakdown, which explains why Rick Mears isn't just one of the fastest men in racing history, but one of the smartest as well. Pennzoil, the standard of protection since 1889. Now, during Pennzoil's Indy Winter Sale, get 20 cents back on every quart or $3 back on every case of quality Pennzoil.
There's a plan for building a house. You should have a plan for moving out of one. That's why Ryder gives you our Move It Yourself guide.
Mom, look what I found. Oh, my God.
It helps you handle every step, from picking the best truck to packing your lamps to shutting off the power.
Got a spot for this?
Oh. What's that?
Hair.
Ryder. We're there at every turn.
8th frame, Mark Roth. And again, a 10-pin. As we're running behind our allotted time schedule, we bowled through, and Mark Roth, he left a 10-pin, covered it for a spare in the 7th frame. Very close match, 6 pins separating Roth and Pete Weber.
The extraordinary spare-making ability of Mark Roth has carried him with his powerful bowling ball to the second all-time leading money winner.
3 millionaires. Earl Anthony, who finished 30th. Marshall Holman, and of course, Mark.
Every match comes to a psychological point, and this is it right here. If Pete Weber can get this strike, he'll have almost a commanding lead as we enter the 9th and 10th frames. Strike working could extend his lead to 16 with one more shot.
Well, there we have our first split. 5-7 on the right lane for Pete Weber.
Something you don't see a power player get very often. The ball goes down there, just slides, and never gets a good bite. Pete thinks, well, I might bowl the 5-pin out, I might bowl it out. That's my strong ball. My goodness gracious, what happened? I have a split. That's something my daddy'd leave, a 5-7. He's not a power player. Let's see if Pete can make this 5-7 splits. Slide the 5 and the 7 to maintain the lead.
The adrenaline.
He drives the 5 over into the 7. He likes it, he likes it. Just touch it. Pete Weber made it a move on the approach that was recommended, and I highly recommend, by one of the great bowlers, Mike McGrath, one of the PBA national champions. He says move 3 boards to the left on the approach from your strike standing position. You'll make the 5-7 or 5-10. He was correct. Right now, we're down to the dog days of the Pro Bowlers Tour. The 9th and 10th frames, title and the match are still up for grabs.
Now he's got it back in sync. Don't forget tomorrow's Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure. They're going to a river bow that neither of us has had the opportunity to see.
No, the Yangtze River. It's a 1,000-mile odyssey and some untamed and somewhat unchallenged so far land. It's going to be gorgeous. Part of a 2-part series. Now, here's Roth, 9th frame.
Another 10-pin for Mark Roth. Spirit of Adventure, 5 Eastern.
Here's Roth, another apparent strike hit. Doesn't get the required pin action. Come on, 10-pin. Roth will make this. He never misses the 10-pin, and right now he's still in the match with a conversion.
Just covered the 10. So it's a spare in the 9th. Let's see how close it really was.
Roth kills the ball. Obviously, that gives you a little more margin for error. 16-pound ball against a 3-pound, 8-ounce pin. No contest. Now, as Roth threw that spare shot 20 miles an hour, he has a chance to win the match. One of the great clutch players of all times, as evidenced by his 32 titles and the way he has won a lot of them in the 10th frame. He needs 2 strikes to take the lead.
Leaving a 4-7.
Roth even surprised by the action of the ball on the lane surface. He gave it a good turn, a good lift. The ball just slid by. The head pin normally will knock out the 4 and 7 pins. Not to be for Roth. The best he can do is 189, but he still has a chance to win the match.
Though, as we look at that score sheet, 1 strike. Who would have gambled that Mark Roth would come in here with only one strike?
Not I, and he has kept a lot of balls around the pocket. Look at the 7th frame 10-pin, 8th frame 10-pin, 9th frame 10-pin, and a 4-7 in the 10th. With a good count here, he'll still force Pete Weber to fill either a spare or a strike in the 10th frame.
Gary, one.
And
That's
there's
enough.
a 2-5. 187 for the man that has one major title, United States Open in 1984, and he wanted this one oh so badly, especially this year.
And it's not over yet. Pete Weber needs a mark, a spare or a strike in the 10th frame, and he would go on to meet Art Trask. But he must mark. Stranger things have happened.
The clincher for 24-year-old Pete Weber. He has eliminated a great champion, Aulby. Now, Mark Roth, Art Trask comes in, a man who hasn't won since '83. That match coming up next here on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Wake up! If you don't graduate, we're through.
I'm bushed.
Here, revive with Vibrin.
Vibrin?
Helps wake you up.
Government-appointed experts say it's safe, effective.
Revive with Vibrin.
Listen to the sound of a closer, smoother shave. Williams Electric Shave sets up my beard, so my shaver shaves closer, and I get a smoother shave. Listen to Williams Electric Shave. The sound of a closer, smoother shave. Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engines are built so well to last so long. Later in life, they often start another career. Briggs & Stratton, the power in power equipment.
Mom, send $500 soon, or there won't be a honeymoon.
To send money fast, come to Western Union. It'll get to any of our 10,000 locations, usually in 15 minutes or less. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa's putting smiles on American faces.
Don't miss our biggest sale of the year. It's Car Care Days at your Napa Auto Parts store. Just about everything you need to keep your car in great shape is on sale now. Get special prices on quality Napa parts. Check your local newspaper for sale items at your Napa Auto Parts store and save at our Car Care Days sale.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa.
Tomorrow, the action begins with live final round coverage of the Big I Houston Open. Then, premier U.S. male gymnasts challenge the world champion Soviet squad live. Followed by a dramatic first-ever rafting attempt on Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure. All tomorrow on ABC Sports.
Pete Weber with a strike and a 5-pin has eliminated Mark Roth, who will get 15 grand, 217 to 187. So now, Weber with 2 victories needs 2 more for his first Firestone, but in his path now is Art Trask. From this field of 52, average of 216, top 24, 215, Bo.
Right, and that's just one short of the record, which was 216 set in 1972. Here's some of the other finishers. Ferraro, a good charge. All-World Holman. Steve Cook out of his slump. Tom Baker finished the year strong. Stephanie, a former champion. Red-hot Randy Peterson. The Wizard, Deadeye, 13th. Joe Berardi, a good week. Powerful Jeff Ballinger. The Eagle, Freddie Borden straightened him out. The Buzzsaw, John Gant. Bob Chamberlain, national champion. Hanley, our winner at Hartford. Hugh Miller, bowled well all week. Kent Wagner, back-to-back 280 games this week. The Green Machine, Wayne Webb. Dennis Jakes, the big guy in there. Guppy Troop, 24th. And David Houston dropped out to have go home to see his new child, Chris.
All right. Here is the tip of the week. The Professional Bowlers Tour Tip of the Week is brought to you by Old Spice. Its subtle masculine fragrance is the classic scent of the American male.
Many players try to emulate the styles of their favorite stars, especially in the setup position. Some hold it high, such as Mark Roth. Some hold it in the middle, like Mark Baker. And others hold it down low, like Wayne Webb. Does it really make a difference where you hold the ball in the start-up position? Not really. What is really important is how you end up in the pivot step position. That's the second to last step before you release the ball. Notice how all three of these players are similar when it comes to that position. Mark Roth, the high setup. Now watch as he drives through his fourth step. There it is right there, the pivot step, the power step as you like, the high follow through. Now watch Mark Baker, a much bigger man, starts the ball in the middle of his body, yet in the fourth step, he's in the exact same position as Mark Roth. Here's step 3, step 4, the arm swing all the way back, drives through the big follow through. Now Wayne Webb, short of stature, but watch, he'll be in the exact same position as both Roth and Baker in the pivot step position. Here it is right here, the pivot step, drives through, the big wrist action, the high follow through, every player identical in the second to last step. Regardless of your startup position, there is one area in bowling you cannot violate, and that's the power step position, where the arm is at the apex of the swing, the chin is up, and the legs are coiled ready to drive through to that final step. As you drive out of the power step into the final slide, the wrist rotates around the ball, giving it the strike power. So remember, take a comfortable setup position, but drive very hard through that second to last step, the power step.
What kind of man whistled the Old Spice tune?
He's my daddy. My practically perfect husband.
You can count on him.
He's the captain of my ship.
He's a friend.
The Old Spice man, a man's man.
Clean, refreshing Old Spice. It's the favorite scent of the American man, and he'll never change his tune.
And I love him for it.
Old Spice.
The U.S. takes on the USSR in women's gymnastics live, plus the final Derby prep race, the Kentucky Derby Trial, on ABC's Wide World of Sports, next.
Yes, Wide World follows. And following now, live from Akron, Ohio, Pete Weber with 2 victories, going against Art Trask, who led most of this Firestone Tournament of Champions, the number 2 spot. This will be interesting now to see how Pete handles the 38-year-old from California. Good way to start for the 24-year-old, and now a look at Art Trask. 20th television appearance. Real pressure player, Nelson.
Chris, he's afraid of no one. He's had a great week. He's obviously one of the most methodical players ever to hit the tour. Mild slump trying to be too much of a power player, went back to Art Trask's game, and now he's really sharp.
Real contrast in styles here in our 3rd match. You'll see what I mean more by watching a replay of his profile.
Textbook style. See the short first step, heel-toe walk, each step a little longer, a little stronger than the next. That good pivot step right there, rotates the tip of the right foot. What's that wrist roll back on the ball? Look at that. Down low, look at that right knee. You just can't do it any better than that. Art Trask has bowled that well all week long. Second place, the match is all even, semifinal game.
Now leaving the 2-5 on the left lane.
You can see the line of Art Trask. He's playing right around the second arrow. Watch, he's starting right around the middle of the approach with his footwork, 5-step delivery. And look at how nice his shoulder position is, how good his swing is to his body, right inside the second arrow. What he has to do is make a slight adjustment on the approach to avoid the light hit the next time he's up.
Art Trask set of a replay of a match he had against Pete Weber in his winning days in '83. Had to beat him to get to the finals, which he won.
Pete Weber, the full fingertip grip, stretched out. His father and some of the older players such as Don Carter and even some like Marshall Holman used the semi-fingertip grip.
2 frames, 2 strikes for Pete Weber, who won his first match 231 to 205, and then against Roth 217 to 187.
The thing to watch, Pete Weber, that good timing, the good high backswing which he has made so famous. But watch the wrist action as he comes through. There, his fingers are behind the ball. He rotates the fingers counterclockwise, the wrist up through the center of the ball. Lets that top weight take over on the back end and drives the 10.
There's Nicole, Edie and Pete's lovely daughter. Have another named Ashley. 3 in a row.
Well, Pete Weber loosened up after that victory over Mark Roth. He had a little rest period against Roth as nobody could get anything going in that match. Now he looks red hot, but never count out Art Trask, his opponent.
Right there, so easily, gets them all.
Art Trask, who has been on the tour for 15 years, has always been a classic type player. He is one of those players who has been out here for years and never really got his just due as far as publicity has gone. A victory here in the Firestone obviously would correct a lot of that. Right now he trails by 20 pins. He has a strike working, 4th frame. Spread index finger for control.
All right. There is a double. Mr. Trask is definitely in the picture of our semifinal match. More after this.
You know, this is my favorite bar, because everyone here drinks Miller Lite for the same reason I do, because it tastes great. Yeah, my kind of crowd. Yeah.
For big taste, there's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
Spring is the time when colors bloom and savings unfold inside the new spring catalog from True Value hardware stores. Prune limbs with this Poland 14-inch gas chainsaw, just $129.99. It has a guide bar and cushion grip. Then turn small branches into mulch with this Black & Decker garden shredder, only $149.88. And this Rhino wheelbarrow with tough poly tray from True Temper is just $34.95 less a $5 mail-in rebate. Look for it in the new spring catalog from participating True Value hardware stores.
This is my favorite bar because everyone here drinks Miller Lite for the same reason I do, because it's less filling. Yeah, my kind of crowd. Whoa, must be in the wrong commercial.
For big taste, there's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
Tomorrow, the action begins with live final round coverage of the Big I Houston Open. Then, premier U.S. male gymnasts challenge the world champion Soviet squad live. Followed by a dramatic first-ever rafting attempt on Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure. All tomorrow on ABC Sports.
That is Pete Weber's shot covering the 10-pin on the left lane. He had a strike in the 4th frame as we're running behind our time schedule. Let's replay.
Chris, he has 4 strikes in a row to start the game, comes up in the 5th frame and throws what looks like an apparent solid strike. And once again, the undoing of the 10-pin. Look at it rock, just nicked by the 6-pin. Gives Art Trask new life. Trask trailing by 19, has 2 strikes working, 5th frame.
And there you go, cutting what would look like a lead. And look at Art Trask's performance throughout the Firestone.
And the tournament's a little different. The first, second, third qualifying games are 8-game blocks instead of the normal 6. That was 24 games. Art maintained his lead right up into the 48th game where Jim Murtishaw, our tournament leader, took over the lead. And right now, Trask, who has started strike, spare, then 3 strikes in a row, trails Pete Weber by 9 pins, can take the lead for the first time with a strike here in the 6th.
All but the 7-pin.
How many times we've seen that hit today? Mark Roth had it 3 or 4 times. Pete Weber's had it a couple of times. The ball looks like it's going to just saw the 5-pin out and drive it over in the 4-7 zone. But the action of the head pin comes back and intercepts or cuts off the 5-pin before it gets to the 7. Obviously preventing it from knocking it over and leaving a simple spare, but disappointing to Art Trask, who will now trail by 10 through 6 frames.
Remember, this is a semifinal game. The loser of it will get 20, but the winner goes into the final against the tournament leader, Jim Murtishaw, with a chance for 50 or 28 to the runner-up. High stakes. Spare up, shooting in the 6th frame. Started with 4, marked to the spare, and now a strike in the 6th. Jim Murtishaw, the tournament leader, warming up off to the right. Tough spot, first Firestone for him. First win came in February for Murtishaw. Here's a man with 9 titles. And now, the man from Missouri leads by 20 in the semifinal game as the pin spotter is at work.
I've been shot at, shot up, and shot down, so I don't take chances on anything. I won't touch a filter that isn't from AC. Why mess with air filters that can't go for up to 30,000 miles, or oil filters that can't deliver up to 15,000? For the AC Delco retailer nearest you, just give me a call at 1-800-AC Delco. If you put your muscle into a job, use your head and do it with AC Delco.
No, fellas. Look here, fellas. Let's do one for Mr. Seagram. Now, look here, Mr. Seagram. You sound like my kind of guy, yay. You make that Seagram's golden wine cooler. And you make it wet and dry. Oh, now, Mr. Seagram. You're my kind of guy. My kind of guy.
Here is how the Houston Open ended this afternoon. Dan Forsman, with that putt for par at 18, remained at 10 under and tied for the lead with Buddy Gardner. Forsman's round, a 4 under 68, and here's how the leaderboard looked at the end of the 3rd round. Forsman and Gardner tied for the lead at 10 under, but look at the group right behind them. Now remember, we'll be on tomorrow with the final round from the Players Club at the Woodlands in Texas, live at 1:30 Eastern. Please join us.
Yes, it's bowling in Akron. Among the finest, 7th frame, Art Trask marked with a spare, leaving the 2-pin covering it. Now he's in the 8th. And there is a 4-pin for Trask, finding some difficulty now. Both lanes.
The left lane, as you see Art Trask makes an adjustment on the approach. Then he lets the ball drift just a little bit high. The 2 pins the sideboard, knocks out the 7, but leaves the 4. Trask was light in the 2nd frame on this lane, carried a wall shot in the 4th. Once again was light in the 6th, has made the adjustment, left a 4-pin. He's going at a 2:17 pace. Pete Weber, a 2:39 pace. It's still a lot of bowling left.
And we're in the hometown of this man, Eddie Elias, the man that founded the Professional Bowlers Association. Been a great friend to all of us. And his wife, Peggy.
Yes, the farmer, Miss Peggy Emerson, one of the top models in the world, has a clever, ingenious man for a husband. Credit all the pro bowlers, thank him for the opportunity to play on the Pro Tour. Now, here's Weber, 22-pin lead, 2 strikes out.
Oh, that's tightening the screw, as they say.
Solid in the pocket, the first man to step out and take command today. Weber has the game well in hand, 32-pin lead. He's cutting it loose, he's into it, he can see the big money, he feels victory. Look at that eyes. Now, 32-pin lead, 3 strikes in a row can extend to 42 pins. 9th frame.
Strike, he practically left the building. Come back, Pete. There's a lot of work yet to be done.
The action of the 5-pin. The ball hits the 1-3. Now watch that 5-pin get over there. Overpowers the head pin, which had been cutting it off. Drives into the 4-7. He knows this is lockjaws right here. Boom. He's going at a 2:59 pace. Trask with 4 strikes would only have 2:37.
And a high hit, leaving that awful 4, 6, 7, Bo?
Well, dejected Art Trask came out very strong in this game with the strike, and then he left the 2-5, then 3 strikes in a row, was shortcut with a 7-pin in the 6th frame, and that seems to be the pivotal frame in the match, the 6th frame, where Pete Weber took command.
The man who finished 15th in 1984 just wasn't his day. The Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message and a word from our local stations as Pete Weber has won his 3rd game.
Some things you just gotta do right the first time. At Firestone, we believe that fixing your car is something we've got to do right the first time. Our Master Care mechanics use some of the most advanced training and technology in the business. So Firestone tune-ups are right the first time. Firestone brake jobs are right the first time. Firestone wheel alignments are right the first time. And our warranty backs our service. Firestone, right the first time.
Only you.
Just because you've washed your car doesn't mean you're finished. After each wash, you need some Armor All on the dash, the bumper, and especially the tires. Armor All, it's the finishing touch every time you wash your car.
You're my dream.
And now, introducing Clean Start, the new cleaner which safely removes tough dirt. Clean Start, only from Armor All products.
On the Disney Sunday movie, Elliot Gould just checked into Club Dead with Bill Cosby.
He has potential.
The Devil and Max Devlin, Sunday.
This new Bonneville's really sharp. How's it feel?
Let me tell you.
Here comes a sleek, lean, new driving machine. Bonneville.
Bonneville, huh? Pretty sporty. How's it run?
Let me tell you.
Built with a feel for the road. New Bonneville.
On the road all day, poor baby.
Let me tell you.
Built excitement. Bonneville.
If bowling is your game, let Bowler Supply help you with great bowling balls like the Edge, Ebonite Gyro 1, the Brunswick LT 48, Colombian Yellow Dot, the Hammer, and shoes by Dexter, Hyde, and Brunswick. Every type of shoe for every type of bowler from amateur to pro. And accessories are available too, including bags and bowling aids for the bowlers. Bowler Supply. Let them start your game off with a big, big strike.
The Visiting Nurse Association and Channel 27 reaching out to you.
With his biggest win yet in 3 victories this afternoon, 9 strikes, Pete Weber 258, Art Trask 203. He has earned the right to go against the tournament leader, Jim Murtishaw. What a great year it has been. Gives us an opportunity to thank and admire our production and technical staff members who make all this possible so beautifully and reflect on a 300 game rolled by this man in Los Angeles, California, and Bo and I were there to enjoy it. Our directors, Larry Cam and Doug Wilson. What can you say about the 2 best in the whole business? Larry Eldridge and Frank Esposito. 2 cogs. Without the audio of Jack Brandis and Jim Vreeling and a host of others, we wouldn't be heard, would we?
It's been a great group, Chris. We've stayed together for many years. A few have filled in spots, but by and large, it's a family operation. The Professional Bowlers Tour. Many of the camera people have been with us for the 13 years I've sat here, and Gene Kelly, recovering from some illness, will be back with us again.
Here's Ray and Jimmy, 2 sound men supreme. Pete McCordick and his 300.
We have it! We have it!
All right. Maybe we'll have one here, Nelson. Wilson.
Well, I hope so, Chris. Probably the greatest thrill we've ever had in professional bowling, the 300 in McCordy. Not even eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. And I guess second only to that 300 game would be a victory in the Firestone. It's left down to just two men. Pete Weber, whose father has finished second twice in this tournament, and Jim Murtishaw, who took the lead in the last 8 games last night. Let's see what happens.
He is unbeatable when the adrenaline gets flowing. He starts out again with that powerful strike, though.
Very much so, Chris. And here's a methodical young man who has gone about his business very quietly. He's bowling as well as anybody I've seen in the tournament. In the qualifying, I had the pleasure of following this man on my qualifying pair. He just never made a mistake all week long.
Look at that. The current Southern California Bowler of the Year from Vista. Only his 4th television appearance, and as we indicated, his first Firestone after a victory in Venice.
Chris, a 4.5-step delivery, just an ideal textbook style. Just tremendous. He's gained a lot of confidence with that victory in Venice, and as you said, Southern California Bowler of the Year, and that doesn't come lightly. Glenn Allison, Barry Asher, just to mention a few who have won that title before. Some great champions before him. Now, with 9 frames left, the Firestone in hand, both players are perfect.
Sliding by, leaving the 2-5-8 on the left lane.
The ball just sliding by, the head pin going to the sideboard. Is once again we see the left-hand lane being the story of the opponents, really, of Pete Weber. They have not been able to get out to a quick start as Pete has the last 2 matches because of their inability to strike in the second frame on the left-hand lane. Mark Roth left the 2-8, and here the 2-5-8 by Murtishaw.
The man that was going to give it all up, was going to give the tour up until he won in Venice, traveling with his wife Anita and his son Matthew. He is a credit to the game, Jim Murtishaw. And of course, a win today would make Pete Weber the 1987 money leader.
He would also surpass his father's lifetime earnings. Pete just at the tender age of 24.
But he has a long way to go to surpass his father's great contribution to the game.
That's for sure. Dick Weber, obviously one of the greatest bowlers of all time. I'm sure he's home watching and rooting for his son as Pete sends that shot errant, and obviously the wildest shot so far today on the right-hand lane. The 1, 2, 4, and 8 pins to convert. Look out.
Oh, and there. A chink in the armor.
Well, Pete Weber with that great strike ball has finally made a mistake today as the ball slides by the 1, 2, 4, and 8, leaving the 1 and 8 pins. He has 26 pins through 2 frames. Murtishaw has 20 in the first spare up, has a 14-pin lead. The key, Chris, is to see how Weber comes back. You cannot let a wild shot or one bad shot affect your bowling in the other frames ahead.
Just amazing how they do come back.
Good concentration. Weber collects his thoughts and just grills all 10 pins in the pit.
Here, the title is the thing. One of the 3 major titles available for these professionals. To the winner, 50 grand. To the runner-up, 28. A high hit, and lucky to get by with the 3-6.
Chris, you said 50,000. Obviously, a lot of money, but the other 2 titles, the PBA National and U.S. Open, pay 49 and 100,000 respectively. But a 5-year exemption into this tournament comes along with a title, and last place in this tournament is $1,600. So that's an additional 8,000 if you just show up the next 5 years.
All right, that's a spare for Jim Murtishaw, the 33-year-old professional from Vista, California. 1 victory to his credit. That's how he got into this year's Firestone, winning the Bowler's Journal Open in Venice, Florida. At the bottom with the red tie, that's Dick Evans, who won all the Bowling Writer Awards this year, it seemed. veteran from the Miami Herald. And only the 5-pin stands, an 11-pin lead by Jim Murtishaw.
And we'll go back to remember this pin action right here is he gets away with an easy spare of the 5-pin instead of something like the 2, 4, 5, and 7 or the 2, 4, 5, 8. 3-pin difference in count, which leaves 11 instead of less than 10, which is easy to make up, and a much easier spare to go into the first break in the action with 11-pin lead.
Okay, still early in this championship match at the Firestone in Akron, Ohio, Riviera Lanes. We'll have more of it following this message.
Time for an oil change, but we're not using your Quaker State. We're switching to something better. New Quaker State with QSX.
Introducing new Quaker State with QSX because car-caring people want superior engine protection. Look at the sludge conventional motor oils leave behind. New Quaker State with QSX keeps engines cleaner to last longer.
I knew you'd like it. Ready? Hey, no!
Your Quaker State people, reaching for the best.
Still waiting for that part on your lawnmower engine? Next time, make it a Briggs & Stratton engine and our 25,000 fully stocked parts and service centers all across America. Briggs & Stratton, the power in power equipment.
Save the clam.
What's with Wiley? It's the Monroe Save the Clam sale. Buy Monroe shocks and struts now and save a pile of clams.
Great! More clams for the clam bake.
Clam bake?
Nice going.
See your Monroe ride expert today?
All right, the man in the fuchsia shirt from Florissant, Missouri. Live coverage here at the Riviera Lanes. Pete Weber trailing by 11, but he has a strike up in the third, shooting now in the fourth. He's won 3 games, talking to himself. All right, now he trails by 1. And Bo, we're fortunate to be in the PBA Hall of Fame, and we welcome the new inductees here in '87.
Monday night at the banquet, the great Mark Roth, Jim Godman, Masters title and 2 Firestones to his credit. One of my good buddies, Bob Strampy, bowled on the same team with him. He carried me to a lot of titles. And the man who put up the money for the original Firestone tournament champion, the brilliant Raymond Firestone, all went in the PBA Hall of Fame Monday night.
Class with a capital C.
Now Weber, 2 strikes working, trails by 1, can take the lead. 5th frame.
Oh, he was down begging for that one. Remember, he had that open frame in the second, and I'm sure his rooters watching on TV thought, uh-oh, but now he's strung 3. This reaction.
Now our tournament leader, Jim Murtishaw, trails by 9, 5th frame, spare working. Let's see how he reacts to the hot string of Pete Weber.
Leaving the bucket on the right lane.
Difficult spares, and Jim Murtishaw took the lead after qualifying in the middle of the pack, and he bowled all 24 games of the final match play over 200 to set a new record. Murtishaw never under 200 in all 24 games, all day Thursday and 16 games on Friday. Now a very difficult spare to stay in arrears by 13 pins.
And there gets the 2, 4, 8 and the 5, and it's a big open. Sad for Anita, his wife.
Murtishaw's eyes, he's saying, hold up, ball, don't chop it. Doesn't seem too perturbed about this. Trails by 24 pins, but half the game is still left, and strange things have happened in the Firestone Tournament Champions. It's time for Murtishaw to go to the whip.
Now a 2, 4, 5 on the left lane for Jim Murtishaw of Vista, California.
And I say Murtishaw the whip, Chris. We have a race that goes to the whip right after us, and then obviously the great Kentucky Derby next week. My pick in that is Gulch. I love the name. The horse can run.
113th running. So, after an open, it is a spare in the 6th frame for Jim Murtishaw, the tournament leader, who's been watching up until this match while Pete Weber has won 3 games. Mike Aulby, Mark Roth, and Art Trask, the victims. Now, 3 in a row, shooting in the 6th, leading by 24. Four-bagger. There it is, the 113th running of the Kentucky Derby at historic Churchill Downs in Louisville. ABC's tremendous coverage will start at 4:30 live Eastern Time. Dee Dee and Nicole.
Pete, commanding lead, 4 strikes in a row, 34 pins. 7th frame can extend to 44.
5 in a row. And Dee Dee is fired up. Nicole is right in there. Look at that intensity.
The power of Weber, the 1, 3, 5, and 9. The 6 pin stays on the lane, drives out the 10. He has Murtishaw on the ropes. There's nothing to hold back for Jim Murtishaw. Pete Weber right now going at a 226 pace. Murtishaw would need at least 5 strikes in a row to be in the 220s.
And he leaves the 6-10.
Reminiscent of 3 years ago when our tournament leader, Bob Hanley, who had done so well all week long, came out and was just completely confused on this championship here, 27-28, bowling a dismal 140 game. Murtishaw, not quite that low, but has really struggled. He's only had 1 strike through 7 frames.
This was the man that was trying to duplicate the feat of Mark Williams a couple of years ago, who came in his first Firestone and won it. It's Herculean assignment, isn't it?
That's for sure. We've said time and time again, the tournament leader that has that aggressive style, the speed, the flair, seems to do much better from the #1 position than the stroker. Murtishaw, a stroker-type player, is struggling right now.
And there's a pro that had 24 games of match play with scores of more than 200 every game, winning 15 of 24. Great record for him, but this was the thing he wanted most. 5 in a row for Weber now.
He can salt it away with an additional strike here in the 8th frame.
Leaving a 10 pin, the man that's been in the finals of all 3 major championships this year, 2nd in the United States Open, 5th in the PBA National Championship, Toledo Trust in Toledo.
Pete Weber's task is to mark in the 8th, 9th, and 10th frames to lock up this championship. There's a mark right there in the 8th.
Now, we said this is a 23rd edition. Some of the other champions, quickly how they finished. Holman 7th, Cook 8th, Stepanich 10, Berardi 14th, Durbin 44th, Williams 40th, Petraglia 36th, Anthony 30th, Webb 22nd. So it is a true field of champions, Bo.
Everybody has to win a title to get to the Firestone. Pete Weber standing on the threshold of bowling's best reward, the Firestone Tournament Champion.
Leaving another 10 pin. I'll tell you, there are 2 people in our truck today that never left us in the lurch, never left us any 10 pins or splits, and I'm speaking of our 2 producers. Carol Letty, observing today, and the great Peter Lasser, doing as done so often, bringing you all great coverage. The 2 of them, we salute them. What a joy to work with them.
Now, Jim Murtishaw, strike up in the 8th. Must strike on this ball to have any chance. If he doesn't strike, Pete Weber, lock winner. Somebody in the crowd yelled at Chris, "Come on, Jim, stay alive." That 10 pin ended any doubts on who was going to win the Firestone. Pete Weber has done at the age of 24 what Dick Weber Sr. could not do in his whole career, and that's snap off a Firestone Tournament of Champions. tears coming into his eyes. It's nice to win it early. Just enjoy a few moments right there in front of 20 million people.
And he wins his 10th title, youngest ever to win that money. And his total earnings for this year, $149,825. Pete Weber does it. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by Firestone, where car service is done right the first time. By Quaker State Motor Oil, Quaker State people reaching for the best. And by Seagram's Wine Coolers, every one a champion.
It's real. I know it's real.
There was a time when there was only one kind of beer. Rich, smooth draft beer. It wasn't pasteurized or tampered with. It was just real beer. Miller Genuine Draft is as real as that. It's not heat pasteurized like most other beers. It's cold filtered, so it's as rich and smooth as only real draft beer can be. Miller Genuine Draft.
It's as real as it gets.
Some things you just gotta do right the first time. At Firestone, we believe that fixing your car is something we've got to do right the first time. Our Master Care mechanics use some of the most advanced training and technology in the business. So Firestone tune-ups are right the first time. Firestone brake jobs are right the first time. Firestone wheel alignments are right the first time. And our warranty backs our service. Firestone, right the first time.
Still no word. Recently, 10 best-selling latex paints were brought together in an independent test to take the guesswork out of finding a quality flat wall paint.
Hot, huh?
Each was tested on the toughest measurement of all, scrub resistance. The winner?
Glidden Spread Satin. Thank you very much.
New improved Glidden Spread Satin. It outscrubbed them all, and it's on sale now.
Doc, who came in second? Does it really matter?
Glidden, your paint should be this good.
The U.S. takes on the USSR in women's gymnastics live, plus the final Derby prep race, the Kentucky Derby Trial, on ABC's Wide World of Sports, next.
Well, young man, finally got that major championship.
Well, Chris, I couldn't be happier in my life right now. I would like to congratulate Mark Roth and Mike Aulby, Jim Murtishaw, and Art Trask. They all bowled great. I'm happy for them. Dad, it didn't elude us forever.
Okay, Jay Rosenson, Vice Chairman of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company, with a check. A bowl is Nicole, Ashley, and Dee Dee. Look on. Mr. Kenyon, the sweepstakes winner. 25 grand for that guy.
Pete, congratulations on your victory. On behalf of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company, please accept this trophy along with this check for $50,000 as the winner.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Firestone very much for hosting this every year, and I'd also like to thank all the scorekeepers that kept score for us all week. Without those, we would be keeping it ourselves. And again, Firestone, thank you, and I will be back next year.
Mr. Intensity, congratulations. The final score, 222 to 190, Pete Weber. Firestone Tournament of Champions. Wide World of Sports is next. For Bo Burton and all of us at ABC Sports, thanks to Firestone, thanks to our audience here and on television. So long until 1988.